So I'd like to first start out this unit by showing you what does the graph itself for y equals x squared look like. So make yourself a little table from x equals -4 to x equals +4 for the graph y equals x squared. So I'm going to start out with the easy parts. Remember, this is y equals x squared. So let's start out with 0. So if we plug in for y equals x squared, let's plug in 0 squared. Well, that's 0 times 0, so that's going to be 0. Okay, so when x is equal to 0, y is equal to 0. Okay, well, let's make a table for x equals 1. Well, when x equals 1, we take 1 squared. 1 squared is 1 times 1. And 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, not too exciting. Okay, well, let's take a look at 2 squared. When x is equal to 2, we plug in 2 squared, and we get 2 times 2, which is 4. Okay. When x is equal to 3, 3 squared becomes y equals 9. So when x is equal to 3, y is equal to 9. When x is equal to 4, we get 4 squared. 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, that was pretty easy. All right, so now I'm going to go upwards. I'm going to plug in -1 quantity squared. I'm going to plug in -2 quantity squared, -3 quantity squared, and -4 quantity squared. So let's figure this out. -1 quantity squared. Well, remember, the negative has a huge impact in the parentheses. So that's -1 times -1, or +1. Hey, you see something similar? Okay. -2 quantity squared, that's -2 times -2, or +4. -3 quantity squared, that's -3 times -3, which is +9. And -4 times -4, which is +16. So this is a pretty basic example, but you notice that this x equals 0, right, is symmetric, because if we go one space to the right and one space to the left, they result in the same y value. We go 2 spaces to the right and 2 spaces to the left, they have the same y value, and so on and so forth. So if I were to just draw the graph, and I put it up on Desmos, this is the graph for y equals x squared. You'll see that it's the shape of a parabola. 0, 0 is here, 1, 1 is there, 2, 4, there we go, 3, 9, and 4, 16, and if we scrolled up enough, it would be 5, 25. But you'll see it from the other end too, that x equals -1 results in y equals 1, and x equals -2 results in y equals 4, and so on and so forth. So in particular, if I were to draw this vertical line at x equals 0, this thick vertical line, I'll make it red, that everything is symmetric to the left and right. But in particular, I'm going to be focusing on something completely different. This is just prep for Algebra 2 at this point. So if I just take that off, you'll notice that this crosses y equals 0. Now I'm going to do a table for y equals x squared plus x minus 6. And I'll show this one in particular. Okay, so let's turn this paper over. So once again, you get the idea that I'm making a table for a graph, and then I'm going to plug it into the graph and show you what's going on. So let's say I start with the easy values. So I'm going to start with making a table from -5 to +5, but I'm going to start with x equals 0 first. All right, let me just get these out of the way. So start making this table. Okay. So remember, we're plugging in for x squared plus x minus 6. Well, 0 squared is 0, plus 0 minus 6. Well, that's equal to -6. Okay. 1 squared. Okay, that's easy. 1 squared is 1, plus 1 minus 6. 1 plus 1 is 2, minus 6 is -4. Cool. 2 squared plus 2, so that's 2 squared is 4, plus 2 minus 6. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. Okay? There's going to be something very special about that value. Okay. 3 squared is 9 plus 3 minus 6. 9 plus 3 is 12. 12 minus 6 is 6. Okay, I'm just doing this table just to show you guys something in the long run. 4 squared is 16 plus 4 minus 6. Okay, so that's 20 minus 6, which is 14. 5 squared is 25 plus 5 minus 6. 25 plus 5 is 30. 30 minus 6 is 24. Okay, so now I'm going to go the other direction. Remember, the parentheses make a huge impact. So now I'm going to plug in -1. All right, first things first. -1 quantity squared is +1. Plus negative, I don't really like that, so plus negative becomes negative, so that's -1 minus 6. Okay, well that's 1 minus 1, which is 0. 0 minus 6 is -6. Okay, oops. There we go. So what about -2, -3, and so on and so forth? So fill this in on your notebook. Okay, so -2 quantity squared, that is a -2 times -2, which is +4. Plus negative, I'm not really happy about that, so that becomes -2 minus 6. 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 minus 6 is -4. Okay. -3 quantity squared is 9. 9 plus -3, that's -3 minus 6. 9 minus 3 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. That's going to be important as well. And -4 quantity squared, I'm just going to do this really quick. 16 minus 4 is 12. 12 minus 6 is also 6. 25 minus 5 minus 6. 25 minus 5 is 20. Minus 6 is 14. Okay, so why did I show you guys this? Well, I'm going to show you the graph and show you what's going on. Take this off, okay? So once again, we've got -3, 0, 2, 0, 3, 6, and so on and so forth. All the points are going to match up over here. Let me put this on the side. So -5, -5, 14. -4, sorry about that, line it up. There, -4, 6, and so on and so forth. But you notice that at 3, 6 as well, it results in the same thing. So 2 things I want to take just to prep you guys for Algebra 2. That an x squared graph is in the shape of a U. It's called a parabola. But I'm here to ease your anxiety. All we really care about are these bad boys called the x-intercepts. And we'll get to that in more detail another day. Until then, we're going to be solving for x. It's back to solving for x. So there's something special about -3, 0 and 2, 0. Okay. Because when x equals -3, y is equal to 0. When x is equal to 2, y is equal to 0. So let's backtrack a little bit and let's get back to this most important issue of Algebra 2, the zero product principle. Go back a couple of tests. Basically, just to refresh your memory, if you have a multiplication problem, a times b is equal to 0, then 3 things can happen. Well, it's a multiplication problem, the answer is 0, so let's say a is equal to 0. Well, if a is 0, then 0 times b is always equal to 0. B can be whatever real number it wants to be. What about case number 2? What if b is equal to 0? Anything times 0 is 0. And, of course, the third case is what if a and b are both 0? So 0 times 0 is also 0. So the main idea is what values of x are going to make the output equal to 0 if we have standard form. So in this form, ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, where a, b, and c are numbers, not variables. What are the x values that are going to make this whole thing explode? And that is what's going to get you through to Algebra 2. So just to take a simple problem, x squared plus 7x plus 10, and we're going to solve for x. And I don't mean solve for x with one solution. There could be two. So basically, this is what I did when I was in 8th grade and 9th grade. And I'm going to show you that this is the wrong way. And then, but because I've been trained throughout my entire life to get anything that's not x on one side, and so this is what I did. And don't copy this down. I'm just trying to show you. So I canceled this out and I did x squared plus 7x is equal to negative 10, and then I was like, okay, now what? And then I got stuck. It turns out, what do you need to do? So this is how you really solve it. So what do you need to do to solve x squared plus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0? I'm not wasting your time. What you need to do is factor. Just pretend that there is no equal sign over here. Let's factor this. We're looking for two numbers that multiply to 10 and add to 7. Now that your factoring is much stronger, what two numbers multiply to 10 and add to 7? 1 times 10 is 10. 1 plus 10 is 11. I'm not happy. Okay, well that didn't work. Let's try 2 and 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 plus 5 is 7. We have a winner. So even though in the previous test it was split the middle term, remember that a is equal to 1. Okay, so in this case we can just go right into it. X plus 2 times x plus 5 is equal to 0. And now that we've got a multiplication problem, we use the zero product principle to spread this out. So now we've got x plus 2 is equal to 0, or x plus 5 is equal to 0. So now I'm going to solve for x. Minus 2 on both sides, and one of the solutions is x is equal to negative 2. Go the other direction. X plus 5 is equal to 0. We're going to subtract 5 from both sides. And so x is equal to negative 5. So the two solutions are to solve this problem, x squared plus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0. There's two solutions. I repeat, there are two solutions. So x is equal to negative 2 or x is equal to negative 5. And now we're going to check our work by plugging it into the original equation, x squared plus 7x plus 10. And we're going to do that in both ways. So I'm going to check with x is equal to negative 2 by plugging it in. Now, negative 2 quantity squared, that is positive 4. 7 times negative 2, that is negative 14. And then plus 10. 4 minus 14 is negative 10. Negative 10 plus 10 is 0. And that's what we want. We wanted to solve this. This is not the correct way to do it. You need to factor, split it up using the zero product principle, and away we go. Let's try it with the other way. Let's try x equals negative 5. Negative 5 quantity squared is positive 25. 7 times negative 5 is negative 35. And then we add 10. 25 minus 35 is negative 10. Negative 10 plus 10 is 0, and that's what we check off. Okay, well, going back to the visual, what do we really care about in this unit? Remember that this is x squared plus 7x plus 10. We care about where does the graph cross the x-axis. So even though you have access to this on Desmos, I want to see the work, because this not only prepares you for Algebra 2 and pre-calc, but also if you want to get a college degree, you got to know how to factor, because calculus makes this mandatory to know. So if I were to draw this graph, where does it cross y equals 0? Negative 5, comma 0. X is equal to negative 5, y is equal to 0. X is equal to negative 2, y is equal to 0. So you've got the algebra and you've got the visual. Two ways to see, did you do this problem correctly? We're going to be doing this for the rest of the year. Get plenty of practice. No rush. This is the ultimate test of I want to go to Algebra 2. Have a great day, guys. Oh, and happy belated Mother's Day to all your mothers out there. Have a great day, guys.